Hey friends, welcome back to my channel once again. Hope you're doing all right and your Christmas preparations are all going well. Just thought I'd pop on here and do a quick little update about the things I'll be getting up to in November as I've continued to keep myself busy since my redundancy a few months ago. There might be a little bit of news on that in the new year. I won't tempt fate by saying anything else just yet, but fingers crossed there's something promising on the horizon at the moment. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick set of highlights as to what I've been doing, and then you can go into my blog post as per usual to check out all the finer detail. Otherwise it would take me ages to talk about everything at length here. So yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into it really because there's nothing else to say by way of an introduction. So my big getaway this month was a weekend in Oxford, which I've never been to before, but I've always wanted to go there because it's a beautiful place, and I had a couple of shows booked there in the evenings, so I thought I'd go for a bit of exploration during the daytime as well. So on the first day I went to the Ashmolean Museum, which is their huge museum full of art and fashion and architecture and all sorts of bits and pieces. It's a wonderful place, lots of amazing things to look at. The object labels are impossible to read, even with my little telescope on my phone, it was quite hard to read many of them, so I didn't really bother reading that much stuff. But there are big panels on the walls at the start of each gallery that set the context, the time period or the country or whatever that you're looking at. So I had a general idea of what I was observing. And there's also a nice couple of audio tours on the Smartify app, which I did listen to, one of which is about disability and chronic illness and how that's represented by some exhibits. So that was quite interesting. But yeah, I spent a solid 5 hours there, including a little break in their cafe partway through. So I did have a good look around. It just would have been nice to find out about things in a more accessible way sometimes. I know they do audio described tours, you can arrange that kind of thing. But obviously I just booked it on a whim just before I travelled up there, so I didn't try and get into anything like that. It was just nice to have a browse and get a feel for this place because it's one of the iconic sites of Oxford. And then on the second day I went for a tour of the university in the city, led around by one of the graduates from the university. So that was a lot of fun and very interesting. She was very knowledgeable and friendly and everything, and I took lots of photos, of course, of lots of nice places. So you can see a lot of the photos in my blog post and find out about some of the things that we learned. And likewise for the museum, you can see a lot of the photos and stuff in my blog post specifically about Oxford because there was so much to share. I just did one blog post dedicated to my weekend there. So you can find all about the museum and the tour, and also about the two shows I saw. The first of which was Jools Holland and his Rhythm and Blues Orchestra. It's a bit of a wild card for me in a way, booking that, because I don't have any of Jools' albums and I don't really watch his show much. I might see it occasionally if there's any artists that really interest me, but I don't really watch his stuff or listen to his stuff very much. But I do like the style of music that he's into, and he's into some very lively stuff and blues and that kind of thing. So I thought I'd go for it, as it was a show that I saw that was taking place before the other one I wanted to see more, which I'll mention in a second. But yeah, Jools was very good, and every member of his band is excellent. They each get a moment to shine during the different numbers, to come forward and play a specific instrument, which is nice. And he had some special guests as well, like Roland Gift from the Fine Young Cannibals and other people. So yeah, that was really good fun. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad I gave that a go. And then the other show I saw the next night, which was the one I wanted to see primarily before I saw that Jools Holland was on the previous night as well, was Jimmy Carr. And I last saw Jimmy Carr 10 years ago down in Torquay. I've been a fan of his for a long time. I hadn't meant to leave it that long before I saw him again, but it's just the way that things work out. But yeah, I'm very glad I've seen him again. He was again very funny as per usual, and I'm not offended by the stuff he says because I go in there knowing that his material is rude and edgy. It includes stuff about disability and religion and all sorts of other people. He's an equal opportunities defender, as he said himself. Everybody's a target, and he's not expressing his opinions. They're just jokes, they're just words and everything, and I'm happy to accept that. But he's not to everyone's taste either. I accept that as well. So I like him, other people don't. That's fine. I didn't get to meet him on this occasion. I don't think he was doing that, but I did back in Torquay 10 years ago, so that was fun. So yeah, overall, it was a very enjoyable weekend. And as I say, you can see my blog post about the Oxford trip for a lot more detail. I've also been out and about doing some other things as well. One of the things I've been doing in recent weeks is looking at the Christmas lights in London, all the different displays in various areas, which I'm not going to show you this time because obviously this isn't a Christmas post. I'll showcase them in my next post, but I will also post a few video clips as well nearer to Christmas on my channel too. But in the meantime, if you're on Instagram following me on there, you'll see a lot of photos that I've been posting on a daily basis from the various places that I've been going to. So do go and check my pictures out that I've been sharing there, and then I'll share some highlights in my blog post and here are my favourites next month. But apart from that, the other thing I've gone out and done is Sight Village. I was on the stall for the Anna Ridger Network, the first time I've had a stall at this exhibition, which kind of showcases products and technology and services that can help visually impaired people. So there's all sorts of stalls there. So I was with the Anna Ridger Network, and we had a fair bit of interest as well, even though it's a niche condition in some ways. There are a lot of people showing an interest, which was lovely. And we had a meet up afterwards with some other people with Anna Ridger, which was very good. And also met some other people as well during the day. I met a good friend of mine. We went out for lunch together, and then we went for an exploration. And I met the people at Vocalize on the stand there, of course, who help out with audio description at theatres and museums and things. And the RNIB were there, and my old school were there. So yeah, it was a really nice day. Very well worth doing that. But then I also went to a concert in London as well. I went to the Royal Albert Hall, which I haven't been to for about 5 years. I last went with the social group Thinking Bob in the first year I was in London. So it's been ages since I've been able to get back to the Albert Hall. So I'm glad I finally did. And I had a front row seat this time for the Symphonic Queen concert they did, where the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra were playing their interpretations of Queen songs, which was amazing. Their arrangements and the sound of it all and everything, it was just really beautiful, really well done. And Scott Mills, the radio presenter, was hosting it as well, and he got to take part in Flash doing the narration during that song, so that was quite fun for him. But yeah, it was a beautiful concert. Obviously the Albert Hall is an amazing place. It's very difficult to navigate in there. It's quite frustrating to find the right door numbers to go in for different things, but once I got into the arena, then a steward was able to help me find my seat, which was fine. But yeah, amazing concert in an amazing venue. So again, more detail about that, all the songs they played in the blog post. And then talking of Queen, as you may well have noticed on this channel already, I've also purchased the big new box set for their album The Miracle, which originally came out in 1989, but this new release has got lots of extra material, including a sessions disc in particular, which is absolutely fascinating to go through. You know, a lot of the songs that we're familiar with sound completely different and give you a real appreciation for the amount of work that must have been involved to get the final versions that we know and love. And there's also some other unfamiliar songs on there as well that we've never heard before. And there's also alternative tracks like B-sides and 12-inch versions, and there's instrumentals, which are very interesting. You know, even without Freddie's vocals, the tracks still sound amazing. And there's also radio interviews, which are really interesting, and there's the music videos, and there's a big book full of notes and lots of wonderful photos, and then there's other photos and posters in the set, and there's a press pack and stuff. There's so much packed in there, even a vinyl LP, which is useless to me, but a lot of people may well like that. So yeah, I'm really glad I got that. It was really well worth the money, especially as I got a 10% discount for my birthday that the store sent me a few months ago. So yeah, I've written a great big blog post going through the set in detail, and I've also posted an unboxing video showing my initial reactions when I first opened it. So do go and check all that out if you're a fan of Queen, because I think it's a really nice set and I'm glad I got that. And then sticking with music, I also bought the Get Up by Madness and a CD and DVD set this month. And this is the show that they put online during lockdown, whereby the band members went into the London Palladium and watched a show featuring themselves recreating how the band was formed and performing some of their earliest songs, including a couple of special guests as well, which is fun. And then the second half of the show is a regular Madness concert with lots of their big hits and a couple of other lesser known songs as well. And the whole thing's written by Charlie Higson, who's involved as well. He plays a couple of characters in it, and it's just really good fun basically. There's some nice humour in there as well as great music, so I'm glad they've released that. And then talking of DVDs, my mother and I have finally finished going through the BBC and ITV box sets from Morecambe and Wise that we started way back at the beginning of the year, just watching an episode each day together while having our dinner. They've been a lot of fun to go through. Network basically released a complete box set of the ITV material from Morecambe and Wise last year, or all the surviving material at least. So while we were getting that, we got the BBC box set as well, because we didn't already have that and it was going cheap. And then this year, the Lost Tapes came out, which fills in all the gaps in the BBC's box set by giving us all the episodes that were missing in audio or video format, depending on how well they were able to restore them. So we've basically gone through everything in chronological order. The first half of the ITV set, then the BBC box set in full, and then the latter half of the ITV set. And it works very well. It's interesting to see their progression through that time, really, seeing them develop their kind of style, getting used to using the TV format to best advantage on ITV, and then really being at the peak of their powers on the BBC, and then still being pretty good on ITV. Not as great as they were. They were repeating some kind of BBC sketches in their ITV show. But yeah, it's been really good to go through all that. And there's lots of great extras on the Lost Tapes set as well. I've also checked out their films as well, by the way, that they made, which is the reason they moved back to ITV from the BBC, because it gave them the ability to make films, because they wanted to try doing that. So I've checked those out, but they're not very good, to be honest. I mean, they're kind of worth a little look out of curiosity, but they're just nowhere near as good as their TV shows. One or two nice jokes and things in there, but nothing essential, to be honest. And their radio show, we've also had a little listen to on Audible, their BBC radio show that they did. Again, it's okay, and there's some nice stuff in there, but it just isn't the same without the visuals. You need to really see them performing on stage, especially with Eric, with his expressions and everything. So yeah, the BBC and ITV shows basically are the most interesting things, which are the things that I'm keeping. And yeah, I'm just glad we've gone through those. So then moving on to another comedian in the form of Jason Manford, and there's a couple of things to mention for him this month. Firstly, he's posted his Muddled Class show on his YouTube channel for free, which is very generous. He had originally donated this to the BBC so they could broadcast it during the COVID lockdowns to give people a bit of a lift, and there's some very supportive messages in there, as well as lots and lots of great jokes, of course. It's very, very funny. But then also this month he's released something relating to his most recent tour, and I saw him on this tour, of course, because I saw him in Folkestone earlier in the year, as I've talked about previously. And basically at the end of each show on this tour, he's been doing what's called assembly bangers, taking songs that we used to sing in school assemblies, like He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, This Little Light of Mine, and so on, and turning them into like big dance rave numbers that everyone can sing along with and dance along to. That's proved to be very, very popular, so much so that he's now released a medley of some of those songs as a single in aid of the Trussell Trust, the food bank charity, whose work is more important than ever at the moment, sadly. And he's also now releasing an album during December as well of the songs. It's just proved to be so popular. So yeah, it's good fun, it's a bit of nostalgia and everything, and raising money for a good cause. So yeah, well worth checking out. And then finally, just to wrap up various other shows that I don't need to say an awful lot about, I've got the Blu-ray steelbook of the Doctor Who Series 13 specials that came out recently. Those are Jodie Whittaker's final episodes, of course, and I'm really looking forward to David Tennant returning for the 60th anniversary next year. And then I've also written a couple of very long blog posts about stand-up comedians that I've seen live recently, reviewing their DVDs and online material. So I've written a post about Dara Ó Briain's stand-up DVDs and the Mock the Week DVDs, because he hosts that show, and I wanted to pay tribute to the fact that the show's come to an end. And then I've also reviewed all of Jimmy Carr's stand-up DVDs, and he has a lot of great extras on some of those DVDs, and his Netflix specials as well, which are a lot of fun. And then among the other series that I watch regularly, Taskmaster has come to the end of its latest series, and that's been hilarious as always. I've loved seeing Dara Ó Briain and Sarah Millican on there in particular, but all the stars have been good, as they always are in every series. And we've got a New Year special on another series to look forward to, which they've announced the stars for, so I'm looking forward to watching those as well. But then the other thing about Taskmaster this month has been the sitcom spinning off from it, whereby Alex Horne, the Taskmaster's assistant, has been attempting with his band to make his own TV show. So the sitcom is about their attempts to make this separate TV show where they talk to special guests and have entertainment and stuff. And they've got some interesting guests on there. Georgia Tennant and Desiree Birch are regulars on there, and we've got appearances by people like Greg Davis, John Oliver, Martin Kemp, Annika Rice, and various other people, because Alex knows a lot of people obviously in real life. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting guests, and the band are great with their songs, of course. They play songs in the show that I've heard before from their albums and they've played elsewhere on TV, like the Peas song, for example. That's a very funny song, and there's a proper video for that in this series, which is nice. But in terms of like the sitcom side of things, with the story and the characters, it just hasn't really grabbed me, to be honest. It's been okay. There have been a few little funny moments in there, but in some ways it just seems a bit too surreal sometimes, and it's just not been very interesting. I haven't really been very engaged with the characters a lot of the time. So yeah, it's been worth a go, but it's not been quite for me. I'm not going to bother watching any more of it. I'm not going to buy it. But yeah, it was worth a look. And that's it. That's all I have to mention for this month. I hope you enjoyed going through all of that with me. In terms of what's coming up in December and over Christmas, I'm hoping to see a theatre show with a couple of friends who are flying over from Guernsey. Strikes permitting, of course, because I know the Border Force are having a strike over the Christmas period, so it remains to be seen if flights will be cancelled or delayed or whatever, but fingers crossed for them. And then, hopefully meeting other friends as well, and just going out and seeing, various displays in London still. There's all sorts of things I want to see in terms of festive stuff, and overeating as per usual, and watching stuff too, of course. I've got the new 40th anniversary Blu-ray for The Young Ones that I've got to watch yet. That's why I haven't mentioned it for this month, because it came out right at the end of November. So I haven't watched that yet. I'll do a big review of that in my blog and mention that in my Christmas favourites post. But yeah, that is it basically. Thank you very much for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're prepared for Christmas in whatever way your situation allows. I know things are very difficult for a lot of people at the moment. But yeah, I'll be posting a few more things kind of in the next few weeks. There's one or two blog posts I want to do, and there's clips I'm going to be posting on my YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed here, and there's photos coming up on my Instagram and stuff like that. So there's going to be a few little bits and pieces for you to check out. But yeah, this will be my last vlog that I do for this year, so all that remains for me to say is I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a very happy new year, with very best wishes for the year ahead. Hopefully for me, I'll be able to get back into a more regular routine and earn some more income again. And yeah, I'll keep showing what I'm getting up to, basically. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as always. Thank you very much for your support over the past year, as always. And I will see you for another video very soon. Merry Christmas.